We are down to the last 3 races of the Turkey Hill Truck Series 2023 season, and it's very possible that by next week we could crown a champion here in this series. But anything can happen here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and Loudovick Charette cannot lay low on that 40-point lead here at this mile-and-a-half racetrack. And considering the next week is Talladega, anything can happen here. We're far from over here in the Turkey Hill Truck Series as we head to Las Vegas for the DraftKings High Roller 400K. 42 laps of action around this mile-and-a-half here in the 2023 Turkey Hill Truck Series. Hello everybody, this is AG here, and welcome to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway here. 42 laps today, and our first Saturday race in quite a while as well. Of course, we close out the season, and just about 2.5 weeks on Christmas Day at Homestead. This track here could give us an idea of who may run well there. This is a mile-and-a-half racetrack, the penultimate intermediate of the season. Next week being Talladega, these guys want to have as good of a run today as possible, especially those chasing Loudovick Charette in the championship standings, because anything can happen next week at Talladega setting up for the finale. But if Loudovick pulls away even further, there's a good chance Loudovick could clinch the championship next week at Talladega. Join alongside Matt Tuck and Stuart Gratton for this race. And Matt, you were in the booth last week, and all kinds of chaos happened in that event. We don't anticipate that type of chaos here today, but what do these championship contenders need to do to avoid possible chaos here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway?
Well, the best thing to do is always put yourself out front. We see the 2 Triad teammates who are going to be front and center starting out front here today. It's the safest place to be at this racetrack, but just, as we always say, find ways to work your way through the field. Have a great pit stop around little past halfway in this race, and then just see how the rest of the die unfolds here. But this is definitely going to be a very exciting race with a lot on the line in this championship.
And of course, Loudovick Charette has a 40-point lead. And Stuart, I know you're excited about that to an extent. He's going to be driving for your Cup team next year. But what does Loudovick need to do specifically not to lose that 40-point lead? We've seen him do it a couple times this season. He starts 7th here today. What's the trick to having a good points lead and a shot at the championship next week at Talladega?
Just need a quality run today. He starts from 7th, as we could see in the number 14 Menards truck. Just needs to keep it clean throughout. Clean on pit road. We talk about that a bit quite often, actually, with pit road. You need to be clean, otherwise you are going to drop down the field. He's got an opportunity today. He does start ahead of a lot of the guys around him. Only Stapleton and Williamson in the top 6, top 7-ish. They're the only 2 that are ahead in the starting lineup. So Giacomo starts from 30th. So he's got a good opportunity to extend that margin today. Just got to keep it clean, and both on the racetrack and on pit road.
We'll have to see what he does in that 14 machine. His 1 win came at a mile-and-a-half racetrack at Charlotte a couple months ago. He could pull off another race victory here today. But you mentioned this championship standings with Giacomo 40 points behind, but he starts in the 30th position here today. However, another driver who still has a good chance at this, and especially if he can finish ahead of Loudovick Charette, is Nicholas Samedeo, 44 points behind. And then 1 point behind Samedeo is Joe Rutkowski, who starts in the outside of Charette. And if both of those guys go into Talladega next week with a race win worth of points on Charette, there's a very good chance they'll still be in contention going into Homestead. And anything can happen at Homestead. Of course, it's not as unpredictable as Talladega, but we have seen mechanical issues occur, especially to some of our top runners this entire season, and it can happen anywhere, including here at Las Vegas. Further down in the points, you have Nathan Stapleton, 59 behind, starting on the outside pole for the 2nd consecutive race. Josh Williamson is tied with Blaine Keys for 6th in the standings, 62 points behind. Thomas Troxell, 63 points behind, and then Andrew Williams, 71 behind. Those are the 9 guys with the best opportunity. Would like to shout out Roberto Crown Jr. Top 10 run for him there, 89 points behind coming into today's event. Going to be interesting to see how many drivers are within a race win worth of points going into Talladega next week, because if they're not, there's a very good chance that Loudovick Charette could clinch it. So that's going to be the big story. But we'll go ahead and get you guys the starting lineup. Josh Williamson on the pole in the 72. It's a Triad Racing lockout on the front row with Nathan Stapleton alongside him. Andrew Williams, the Pocono winner, to the inside of Derek Hamill, who won the opening race at Daytona. Noah Clifton, another great starting position for him. He's to the inside of our last winner, Logan Williams. Loudovick Charette there, our championship leader, starting 7th to the inside of Joe Rutkowski. And then Rogel Dorn and Blaine Keys make up row number 5. There's Nicholas Amadio starting in the 12th position. Thomas Troxel, once again, a poor qualifying effort for him, but he's still in championship contention. And you mentioned there, Stuart, Bruno Diacomo all the way down to the 30th starting position. Of course, a 42-lap race here today. It's a lot of time for him to work his way through the field. We'll have to see if that, in fact, happens. We'll go ahead and get these drivers to roll off. And Matt and then Stuart, who do you guys think is going to go to victory lane here and win all the chips with DraftKings High Roller 400K?
Well, I'm certainly not going to pick one of my own trucks. I certainly cannot pick a Grattan Autosport truck, and I can't jinx my future teammate, so I'm going to pick one of the Williams brothers because they seem to have a knack for running up front every time I'm in the booth. I don't know which one of them is going to get it done today, but one of the Williams brothers is going to get this win today.
I'm going to go for Nathan Stapleton in the 61 on the outside of the front row. Excellent qualifying run once again. Top 5 in points, tied top 5 in points. He's one of the best trucks in the field, there's no doubt about that. So I think he'll get it done. First win of the year for him if he can pull it off.
And of course, if he does get the race victory, he could still very well have a shot at the championship. But if Loudovick Charette finishes top 10 here, it might be a death sentence for the rest of these guys in terms of winning that Turkey Hill Truck Series Championship. We'll have to see what he can do. Of course, he's been plagued with a lot of issues this year as well, but so have the rest of the field, and that's why he's in the position he's in right now with a 40-point lead, 3 races left to go. Here we go. Josh Williamson, Nathan Stapleton on the front row. And have some fun here out west in the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, a real racetrack in Las Vegas. Here we go. Green flag in the air. We're underway in the High Roller 400K. Lap 1 will be led by Josh Williamson in the 72. That's another bonus point towards the championship for him. He's led in a lot of these races. He's gained a few bonus points here and there. Clifton to the inside of Stapleton. The outside lane didn't quite get the good jump at the start of this race, but it will definitely come into effect as this race goes along, especially as the tires wear out. But look at the top 2 drivers right there, Williamson and Williams. They pulled away from the field right there as Clifton hangs on the 3rd, and Loudovick Charette already up at the 4th position.
Charette on an absolute flyer here to start this race. Not as much of a flyer as the top 2 truck stars. We see Rogel Dorn, who's really flexed his muscles the past couple of weeks, trying to throw it down the inside on the championship leader. He'll think better of it for now, but a really strong closeout for the season from Rogel Dorn. Stapleton did not get a good start on that outside, and that allowed Andrew Williams and Josh Williamson to just absolutely take off from the rest of the field. They are out here cruising early on in the going.
You got Loudovick Charette trying to move his way through the field. It looks like that 14's wired in very well here today. So it's not good news for drivers like Nicholas Samadio and Bruno Diacomo. The good thing for Samadio, he is still top 10, or just outside the top 10 at this point. And considering where he started last week at Martinsville, gained a pretty solid finish to keep himself within contention coming into this race, but he's got to finish ahead of Loudovick in this race if he's going to really have a chance going into these last 2 races. So we'll have to see what he can do. I know you're hoping for a good run out of the driver of the number 23 Stewart. How about Aaron Abel there in 10th? Solid run for him. It's not been a good season for Abel. Running alongside a lot of guys who have had solid runs this year. A lot of guys who have won races. Andrew Williams, Noah Clifton, Loudovick Charette, Derek Hamill, Blaine Keys, all inside the top 10, all race winners this season. And right there, you see that outside lane come into effect as Clifton keeps that 14 behind him.
Yeah, nice job by the 2 to hold the Charette behind. You can see he's just kind of holding them up a little bit as they're losing a bit of ground. And now you see Fitzwater to the inside of Dawn. You've got Stapleton trying to move his way forward. Keep an eye on the 1 truck as well. Blaine Keys, of course, won a couple of races this year, won at Chicagoland and was quite fast. Now, when Aaron Abels hasn't had a great year, but we know that Joe Cohen can produce some strong runs when they can. Charette going around up to third. Needed to get that pass done because he was losing ground on the top two. So that's a big move for the 14.
Here comes Rogaldorn, trying to get around this 2 machine as well, and I think with what we've seen this season, that 2 isn't near as good as the 1 at the Velocitar camp, but doing the best he can to hold on to this good starting position, but I think a lot of these guys behind him is a bit faster, and we might see Charette pull in to Andrew Williams and Josh Williamson. And the nice thing that Williams is doing here is just kind of keeping right behind the 72, and they're able to pull away because they're not battling with each other right here. And these 2 drivers who have won races this season, won Watkins, Glenn, and Pocono right there, consecutive races, and then Logan ended up winning Dover. Logan got the race victory last week at Martinsville, and Blaine Keys got the 2 in between that. So Blaine Keys won 2 races. Logan Williams won 2 races. We haven't had a winner other than those 2 drivers since that Pocono race in Andrew Williams. We'll see if we get a new winner here today, but top 3 drivers in this race have all gone the victory lane so far this season. Loudovick is losing time to the top 2 as Williams still keeps behind the back bumper of Josh Williamson here, and he's going to remain behind the 72, and if they keep doing that, they're going to have a significant gap going into the cycle of pit stops, and that could give them an opportunity at the race win. Rogaldorn going for 3rd on Loudovick Charette, and it looks like he might be able to get it done here.
Rogaldorn, here's a guy who, if he, I don't know how Talladega is going to play out, but here's a guy who, going into Homestead, I think feels like he's going to also have a shot to contend, not for the championship, but is definitely going to have a shot to go for the win. He's been incredibly strong the past few races, all the way back to Iowa. He just really had a great run there on a great strategy call. You see Derek Hamel in the 51 having a really solid day here. Stapleton's trying to work his way up. Blaine Keys is working his way through the field, got around his teammate. And Loudovick Charette, he did not build enough of a gap after getting by Noah Clifton and was really chased down by a lot of these guys. And I feel like we've seen this a couple times this year where he has a great start to the race, and then the truck just doesn't hold up well on the long runs, and we're seeing that again here. Luckily, the big points lead, but that could be detrimental to him if Talladega doesn't go his way.
And you bring that up, it's a very interesting point, because I've noticed that as well with Loudovick Charette, where he'll start up front, he'll have a good run to start off, and kind of just fall back as the race goes along. You know, this driver, this team, they have not been good consistently in these races, but drivers like Diacomo and Sam Medeo, Rutkowski, they've kind of struggled as well. Of course, I think with Rutkowski, it's just more or less he's not been as good as the highest points of some of these other drivers. But he here is in 7th now, and keep an eye out for Rutkowski in this title race as well, because the way things currently run, he's going to be 2nd in the championship heading into Talladega. And, you know, just don't forget what happened in 2021, 2020 in the 2021, when he came back. Didn't even lead in the championship until the final race of the season at Homestead and took it right away from those guys. And I have a feeling that Rutkowski might be able to pull something like that off here this year, especially if he can get 10 positions on Loudovick Charette, have a good run at Talladega next week. If he's got a shot at Homestead, watch out. That's all I got to say. Back up front, Williamson has led every lap so far. It's Derek Hamill now in 3rd with Blaine Keys and Rogaldorn in the top 5. Charette trying to make some moves back to the inside, but he's in 8th currently in that 14 machine. Then it's Aaron Abel and Noah Clifton. Not a good run for Nicholas Samadeo in the 23. Falling back now to the 16th position, and it doesn't look like that truck is wired in for a long run either. So interesting to see that of Samadeo. It looks like Rutkowski might have the best advantage to gain on Charette, but even he's behind this 14 machine now.
Yeah, Rutkowski went to the outside of Stapleton into turn 3 like a lap ago, and that allowed Charette to get to the inside. And so, you know, the 14 running 7th at the moment, and nobody's really gaining. Williamson right now leading the race would be the one that gains the most in the 72, but even then he's a fair way behind. He's 62 points behind coming in. So Charette is in a really good position if he can hold on here at the moment, running in that 7th position. Just wanted to quickly say as well, with the field starting to spread out a little bit more as Rutkowski now looks to the inside, he needs as many points as he can to just kind of just claw his way back into the fight and give himself a little bit of a shot. He gets around the 14 easily.
And he's going to be able to get 2 points on him right there. Like I said, I think if Rutkowski just finishes ahead of Charette in this race, Rutkowski's still going to very much be in contention, because like I said, we don't know what's going to happen next week at Talladega. That can go any which way, and of course, Loudovick Charette could win at Talladega. I think it's very likely, but keep in mind, when the Cup Series went there, and we had the ratings in store in that race, You had a bunch of drivers who were leading and who were up front and mixing it all around. And I think we'll see that next week in that race. Definitely been a race that we've been looking out for. Meanwhile, Andrew Williams might be peeking here on Williamson. It's been these two guys who have just been right on each other this entire race, and they've been able to pull away. And Williams, it's a half a second that last lap. He pulled in quite a bit this past lap, and he might try to make the move right here.
I think the top two are you're starting to see either the tires fade off or that lap or so that they got a little separated from each other really has opened the door, because Derek Hamill, Bladen Keys, and Rogel Dorn is hanging on with the draft have been able to that was a 2-second gap from second place to third place just a couple laps ago, coming to the line, and we will see if it drops or increases as these two start to go side by side. But the third through fifth are on an absolute heater as they've cleared through the field. And we're seeing the top two. I don't think that 72 truck is quite as strong as it was. Oh, these two are throwing together an absolute fantastic battle for this third position here at Las Vegas.
How about that? The two drivers, or two owners, I should say, in the booth with me right now, having their drivers battle it out on the racetrack. I'm sure you guys like seeing that. Only downside, it's for third, not for the race lead. Bladen Keys might end up hanging out on that outside and taking that third position officially. Rutkowski pulling away from Charette right here. Charette remains in the 7th position ahead of Stapleton. You got Aaron Abel, Philip Torres now inside the top 10. Michael Sammedio still there in the, well, now 15th position as he's gotten around Caleb Rose, but still not the best of runs for Sammedio, but still have that cycle of pit stops to go through, and a lot of things can change on that cycle. It's going to be interesting to see what the field looks like once we're done. Of course, pit stops came into effect quite a bit last week in Martinsville. That's the reason why Logan Williams got to victory lane, as he took 2 tires. Well, Nathan actually went fuel only on his last stop, while Nathan Orman, who was the race leader, went ahead and took 2 tires, and Orman could not get around those guys who went fuel only in that race, and Logan Williams ended up coming home with the race victory on strategy. Of course, this race may go caution-free. Past 2 races that we've have had cautions in them, and we had that whole stretch throughout about 4 or 5 races where we had no cautions in this series, and it looks like we may get another one here, and that's going to make pit road even more critical for these guys, because you can't make a mistake, especially under green flag pit stops. We're halfway through, and Logan, or should I say Andrew Williams, not a good entry into the corner right there. He had to check up, and Williamson going to get an extra bonus point for leading the most laps in this race, but we're far from over here in Las Vegas. We still got the cycle to go, and I think Williamson may actually try the undercut right here. He's coming down.
Yeah, interesting strategy for Williamson. I guess they kind of needed to do that, because you see the gap that the one and had closed in quite a bit on the 52, on the 2 leaders. Now down to 7/10 of a second. So it's an interesting strategy play by Williamson. Just quietly as well, Rutkowski is flying in the 36, because he reeled in Dorn and Hamill and these guys as well. So 36 has found a lot of speed. Looks like maybe Keys is pitting. Looks like everybody's going to pit now. So you've just got to nail it. You just got to, everyone's going to take the 4 tires as Fitzwater stays out. But you've got to just make sure you're clean on the pit stop, no mistakes, and get out as soon as you can.
And I noticed that too with Rutkowski. Thanks for picking up on that, Stuart, because he did get around Hamill and Rogel Dorn, and that truck was really coming in. And if Rutkowski here can get a nice solid pit stop, he may actually contend for this race victory. We'll have to see. Josh Williamson is out on the racetrack. He was the only guy who came down that lap. He was really going with the shortcut right there, but that forced everybody else in. Fitzwater going to lead a lap right there. That's a bonus point for him in terms of the championship. Of course, a 4-tire stop for all these guys. There's Andrew Williams getting out ahead of the 36 by a significant margin, but Rutkowski going to try to get around Bladen Keys here off the exit of the pit lane. They got to be careful right here. Rutkowski's going to give it to Keys, and he didn't actually jump off that well off the exit, but Andrew Williams and Josh Williamson here, it's going to be a little tight off the exit, but I think Williamson's going to get it, or is he? I think Williams might. No, that 72's got it, but he's going to have to go wide in the corner, and Williams is going to have the fresher tires a bit later on in the run. And they're right where we left off before that cycle began. Williamson and Williams right on each other for this race lead.
We'll get to see now as this 52 truck has a brand new set of sticker tires on him. He started, you could see him start to not be able to follow in the draft of the 72 with Josh Williamson as that last run went on. So now we'll see what Andrew Williams has to take to that 72 Triad truck. It's just been an absolute monster out in front today. We've seen really good speed from the 72 team, but not to this level on the intermediates, the higher horsepower racetracks. Oh, here he goes. Oh, he's just not close enough down the straightaway to get into the corner underneath Josh Williamson. We've got to watch out for these two. We saw how big of a gap Blaine Keys and company closed down last time. They get racing. Don't rule out it could happen again.
And here they go. They're going to get racing here as Andrew Williams moves to the inside, and he's going to take the lead away easily from Josh Williamson in that 52 machine. Blaine Keys 2.5 seconds off right there, and then you got Derek Hamill 3.5 seconds off, and Rutkowski about 4 seconds behind those guys. But the thing for Rutkowski, he is ahead by 3 positions on Loudovick Charette. Loudovick didn't really lose much out of that cycle. He's still 8th, but he's got to be careful not to lose much from Caleb Rose or Logan Williams. Philip Torrey's back there as well. San Mateo about in the same position, so not much of a shakeup throughout that cycle, really. Everyone relatively staying in their respective positions, with the exception, and as much as I hate to say this, of Rogel Dorn in the 4, because it looks like they had an issue once again on the pit lane. Same thing happened to him at Chicagoland when he was running up front, and oh boy, yeah, I bet you Rogel wants to get out of this team as soon as possible, because it's been a lot of discord between those guys, and Rogel is going to be very welcome at Hamill Racing Enterprises. The way he's been able to wheel those machines and the way Hamill runs his team over in the Cup Series, those guys are going to have a good season. I just know it. But I know another pair that's going to have a good season is Loudovick Charette and Grattan Autosport. And Loudovick holding on to a top 10 run right there. That's exactly what is needed going into Talladega.
Yeah, just can't afford to lose any more positions, particularly to the 33, Caleb Rose, having a very good run at the moment inside the top 10 and look quite competitive. For Loudovick, top 10, you take that. You don't want to take too many risks and potentially get involved in some nonsense. You see, Rose, that's pretty tight. Just got to be very, very careful. And they were. That was good racing there to stay off of each other. But if you can move up, if you're the 14, if you can move up a couple more positions with the way Rutkowski's running in the top 5, that'd be a fantastic result, to say the least. But top 10, can't complain about that as he now tries to get past the 05 of Aaron Abel.
Don't look now. I think Blaine Keys might be closing in just a little bit here. So we got 12 laps to go here in this DraftKings High Roller 400K. And Blaine Keys, he's within 2 seconds now of our race leader. Andrew Williams, though, pulling away from Josh Williamson, and this 52 looking very strong once again. Ryan Durrani Incorporated, as a whole this year, they really haven't had much success outside of Andrew Williams. He got the win at Pocono, but looking for their second win of the year, and Williams might be able to pull it off here. And how about those Williams brothers? I mean, starting with Pocono, we've had this is the 6th race, and 4 of them have been won by assuming Andrew wins this race, 4 of them would have been won by either Andrew or Logan. The other 2 are won by Blaine Keys. So if Andrew Williams gets the W here today, that's 3 winners in 6 races. And it's a shame that all 3 of those guys had tough starts to their seasons, because the way they've been running as of late, they are definitely the strongest drivers right now. If this was the college football playoff, and I don't know who got in yet, obviously, when we're recording this is before those championship games. But if we did it like the committee did, they'd be the ones going for the championship. But we are very objective here, and we have a points format, so that's the way we're going to go with that. Andrew Williams, half a second on Josh Williamson, and Blaine's really not closing in. So at this point, it might take a caution for somebody to dethrone this 52 from the top position. Got to say, good run for Rutkowski. Might get another position here on Derek Hamill. Saw that 36 really find some speed near the end of that last run. He's got to chase away from the 14 of Loudovick Charette, though. He wants to at least gain something on him heading into Talladega next week to have a chance at this title.
Yeah, Rutkowski's doesn't really have anywhere else he can go, really. He's done all he can today, but Loudovick Charette has done exactly what he's needed to do, and that's just keep the truck clean, run it in the top 10, rebounded after struggling early or mid to late of the first run of the race, and his truck's come alive a little bit better. He's fighting up there for the 6th position on Stapleton with Rutkowski in 5th. Derek Hamill having a fantastic run for Grattan Autosport, exactly what we like to see up here. We always love to see a good Grattan Autosport day here in the booth, but Andrew Williams is checked out on the and Ethan Stapleton throwing it down there. What has happened here, folks? Blaine Keys has seemed to have gotten by Josh Williamson. That's he closed in quickly there. My goodness.
Watch out for Blaine Keys here. Remember what happened at Chicagoland. Went from 4th to 1st on that restart and never looked back. And this team, you guys have definitely set up a good intermediate program. Didn't gain anything that lap, so we'll have to see if he can close in on the 52. The thing is, Williamson came in a lap before these guys, so those tires are wearing out just a little bit quicker, I think, and that might have been why Blaine Keys got the advantage. Because realistically, since that cycle ended, Blaine's has only really gained about 0.8 of a second, so we'll have to see if he can close in on the 52 and have a shot. But regardless of the fact... Oh, that was a 10th right there. Regardless of the fact, Andrew Williams absolutely deserves this one if he can, in fact, pull it off. Came into this race 71 points behind. He's still going to be a little bit too far behind for Loudovick, as Loudovick's gotten around Joe Rutkowski. Rutkowski slipped back right there. I think he got stuck behind Hamill. And Loudovick's going for another position right here. Trying to gain on that points lead going into Talladega. And it's looking pretty good for the 14 right now.
Yeah, and this is something he does really well. We saw it at Charlotte when he won that race. Is his finishing, the last run of the race, he's very, very fast. So he's now into the top 5, and that's a very good result if he can hold on to that. I tell you what, though, Blaine Keys he's trying. He's not going to go down without a fight. I reckon he'll be within a second of the 52.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think he's going to close in. Just quickly as well with Andrew Williams, he's there now.
Oh my goodness!
At that rate, he's sniffing the draft as well. We could see ourselves a close finish. It's 2.5 laps to go here in the DraftKings High Roller 400K. We're going to focus on this battle for the win because Blaine's going for his 3rd of the season. Andrew Williams going for his 2nd. Will there be enough time? That is the big question. It's a bit difficult to make a pass here at Las Vegas if you don't do it right. You have to do it at the right part on the racetrack. We'll see what the gap is this time, and oh boy. Let's close it in here. Remember at Chicagoland, Andrew Williams was up front in that race, but got caught behind his brother and fell all the way back to 22nd. If that didn't happen, Andrew may still be in championship contention. But the guy who did win that race was Blaine Keys. I'm sure Andrew he's got a chip on his shoulder right here and wants to take it away and hold on to this race victory. He's got one more lap to do it here. White flag in the air in Las Vegas for Andrew Williams and Ryan Durrani Incorporated. And Blaine's about 3/10 behind.
He's going to need an absolute whaler of a last lap, but I don't know if that one truck's got enough left in it. A fantastic effort to get this close, but this 52's pulling away here.
Not going to happen for Blaine Keys. It's Andrew Williams' 2nd win of the season here in the Turkey Hill Truck Series. He gets the win in the DraftKings High Roller 400K. Actually pulled away there a little bit from Blaine Keys. He saw him coming, was like, I gotta get on it, and he's gonna get his 2nd win of the season right there. How about those Williams brothers? Back-to-back again here in the Turkey Hill Truck Series. Josh Williamson finishes 3rd, Derek Campbell, Caleb Rose with a top 5. Where did that come from? I think that's only his 2nd top 5 of the year. And Loudovick Charette just 1 position ahead of Joe Rutkowski, so Rutkowski will be 46 behind going into Talladega, still very much within reach. Nicholas Samadillo in the 23 finished 11th. He's still going to be within reach as well, but he's going to lose a little bit of ground. One driver we didn't mention at all this entire race was Bruno Diacomo, and not a good run for the 82, finishing 29th. It looks like Diacomo's chances may be over, unfortunately. Stapleton with a solid run in 8th. Williamson will gain a couple of points as well. So will Blaine Keys. And then that's really about it. Andrew Williams winning this race. 71 points behind. Don't think it's going to end up closing in that much for him. We'll have to see how those points shake out. But regardless of the fact, it was nice to see a calm race because I don't think the last two are going to be like that. Andrew Williams gets it done. How do you see this championship playing out? How do you see Talladega more specifically playing out? And does Loudovick have a chance to get out of Talladega, maybe clinching the championship next weekend?
You got to remember with Loudovick.
I should have
ahead.
asked someone specifically. I kind of was just thinking I should do that.
You go, Matt.
Clinching will be hard. It's Talladega. Anything could happen, but putting himself in, I only need to finish about 30th at Homestead situation is definitely, he's going to build himself, I don't think he's going to clinch, but he's going to build himself a really good cushion heading into Homestead, because Joe Rutkowski really was the only immediate championship contender who was able to contend today. Bruno Giacomo, I don't know they're on the Ferrari strategy over there. I don't know what else to tell you, but yeah, it's looking decent for Charette today. A great rebound on that last run. I think he feels good heading to Talladega.
Yeah, and you got to remember as well, he's had a lot of very good runs in Cup on the super speedways. He was second in the Daytona 500. I think he was second at that Talladega race in Cup as well. So he could race restrictor plate racetracks as well. So lining up really well for the 14, particularly with what happened to the 82 and how much Giacomo struggled. And I think he's done. He's going to be 67 behind. I can't see a way for him to get back into it. I just think it's going to be too much for him to overcome. I think really, Charette could definitely clinch. I think that's very very possible. Just needs to outrun probably the 36 are going to be second in points, and the 23 as well. Those are probably the main two. Williamson led the most laps today, but I don't think he gained that much anyway. Keys didn't really gain enough. Stapleton lost ground to the 14. So really, I think it comes down to mostly just finishing ahead of the 36, the 23 in particular at Talladega, and obviously those guys as well. Some of those other guys that have an outside shot. But if he could stay clean, and I think he's in with a real shot of being up there at the end of the race and clinching the title. Which even though he's not on my team at the moment, I'll be very happy for him.
Mm-hmm. And we'll have to see if Loudovick can pull it off. You know, it's interesting. Loudovick Charette was the last driver to sign up for the Walla Walla Cup Series this past season. And at that point, we had no clue he would be to this level. But the interesting thing is he's only won one race all year. Andrew Williams already has 2. Blaine Keys has 2. And Logan Williams has 2 this season. Ludovic's only won the one race, but pulling a bit of a Matt Kenseth season right here. Matt Kenseth 2003. But don't worry, we're not going to create a chase for the trucks. We did that one year. That worked out well for you, Stuart, because I think you won that championship. But you know, we're points. We're points based now all throughout. We're not going to that. I'm sorry. Take a look at the rest of the results right there. I would like to point out again, Rogel Dorn definitely did not deserve that finish. He had such a much better run. He was running top 5, and then the pit crew once again. The same thing happened to Chicagoland. That just, I don't know what happened to him. Finishing 35th, and that's just tough for him. And then even his teammate, Bruno Giacomo, don't know really what's up with that team. They started off the season very well and then just started to kind of lose their momentum there, especially on the speedways, which is fascinating because Giacomo won it in Michigan. But hey, you know what? As the season goes on, these ratings change. You get different drivers. Troxel's another guy who, you know, we thought was going to be a lot stronger in this title race. He's fallen off quite a bit as of late as well. And it realistically, Ludovic's pretty much got it on lock, but the only other 2 guys who have a chance at this point are Rutkowski and Sam Badillo, and even they are still a full race win worth of points behind Charette with 2 races left to go. It's still possible considering one of those races is Talladega, but if Loudovick Charette wins next week, it's over, and Loudovick Charette's your champion, and we could crown a champion next week, a race early, which is kind of cool to see in a way. We haven't done that in a while on the channel. Maybe we'll get that and just kind of have a fun race at the end on Christmas Day to cap off the year. But either way, Andrew Williams had some fun today. He's your race winner, his 2nd win of the season, and we'll have to see how it all ends up shaking out next week from Talladega for the Cookout 250 next Saturday at noon Eastern Time right here on AG the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. Congratulations to Andrew Williams, and here are the points for the Turkey Hill Truck Series after 16 races. On behalf of Matt Tuck and Stuart Gretton, I will see you guys later.